The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation-building series, The Law and You. This is program number 971, coming to you on Monday the 27th of April, 2020. On this program, I will speak to you on the topic 23 years and counting. But before getting into the topic, a few preliminary comments. Firstly, and as usual, I wish to send out my deepest condolences to all the families which have suffered recent bereavements. And in that connection, firstly to the family of Dr. Franklin Jacobs, whom I met at a senior boy in the grammar school when I entered in 1959, and Franklin was known as priest. I met him again when I went to England to study. He was a pillar of the Vincentian community, and he could tell you every detail of everything happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Dr. Jacobs simply kept in touch with his homeland, never lost touch with his friends here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he could sit and discuss current affairs, things happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as intimately as if he were home. He was an institution, a philanthropist, a medical doctor, and he had a thriving GP, general practice, in England. And I wish his family to take comfort from the knowledge that they have lost a great son of the soil. And then in the last 2 days, I heard of the death announcement of a person I knew as Audrey Norris. Didn't know that she was married and settled in Beckway, but to her sisters, Jo and Cess, my deepest condolences, and to all the members of the Norris family on the passing of Audrey. She was one of the quietest member of a family, of that Norris family. And the final preliminary comment. I wish to say happy first anniversary to a couple near and dear to me. They were married on the 27th of April, 1919. I refer to my daughter, Mrs. Mandela Campbell, now Mrs. Mandela Peters, and her husband, Pastor Elvin Peters. To Mandy and Pastor P, I wish you many, many years of happy togetherness as you go through life. Having come through the first year with much joy from what I can observe. And I know the family is rooting for you. All the very best to both of you, Mandy and Elvin. Well, perhaps before I talk about COVID, I should issue an apology for the fact that the program of The Law and You last week, Monday, was not aired on Monday. There was a technical glitch, and every now and then you get technical hiccups. They can't be avoided, but unfortunately, something went a little wrong with one of the machinery, and the program could not be aired on Monday, but SVG-TV very kindly brought over the program on Wednesday night last week. So I apologize to those who were looking out for the Law New Monday and didn't see it, but I'm glad that some of you at least saw it on Wednesday night. Yes, so this COVID. We in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have a lot to be thankful for so far. So far. But let us not celebrate prematurely, because you never know what is in the future. What we do know, however, our people in the United States of America, and to a lesser extent Canada, and our people in England and elsewhere are having it rough. When I say our people, I mean Vincentians who have settled in those countries. And those of us at home who depend on our sons and daughters and relatives abroad, uncles, aunties, mothers, fathers, nenen, who have been dependent on them to send us a little something every now and then. We have to understand that they may not be in a position to give us the sort of help they used to give us before the pestilence occurred. Many of our people have lost their jobs. You have now heard that the jobless figure in the United States of America is now over 22 million persons. Quite a lot of our people are in the United States of America without proper documentation. So they're liable to be deported if and when things get rough. And we have to brace ourselves for that downturn. Whatever happens adversely in the economies of the countries of North America and England and the rest of Europe would have adverse consequences for us here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines through our relations. So you have to bear with them, sympathize with them. I heard of a few deaths of Vincentians due to the virus, and these things are to be expected. I want to say one thing in defense of President Trump. Segments of the media have blown totally out of context some remarks he made at the podium concerning using bleach and other toxic substances. Some segments of the press have it to say that President Trump was encouraging people to drink bleach. That is not the case. And I know for some media outlets in the United States, President Trump can do no wrong. For example, the Fox channel. And for some media houses in the United States, President Trump can do no right. And I number CNN as one of those. Now, I am an avid CNN viewer. But they're always on Trump's case. And many a times they have been unfair to the gentleman. Now, I have my own quarrels with President Trump. But you have to give Jack his jacket, and you shouldn't unfairly criticize someone. Now, President Trump has done a lot of things for which he deserves to be criticized. But to say that he was encouraging people to drink bleach to get rid of the virus, that is not the way I listened to every word of that press conference. But It has gone out all over the world, and he's now stained with the accusation that he was encouraging people to shine bright lights into their bodies to get rid of the virus or to drink noxious substances. Having said that, I still hope that he would not remain president of the United States after the 2020 November elections. I think a lot of his attitudes are hostile to global peace. And I don't think the world can afford another 4 years of President Trump. But he is, you see, a gentleman who is running a country can never be all bad. There must be some good things for which the worst ruler has to be given credit for. But overall, President Trump is bad for the Caribbean. I leave it at that. Let us continue to watch and pray. But let me go on to the topic for the evening, 23 years and counting. The 23 years referred to in the topic of this presentation are the 23 years of the life of the law and you. This program was started way back in April 1997, and this year, April 2020, marks the 23rd year that the Law and You has been airing. We are now in the 971st program. I do sincerely hope that when I can go no more, for one reason or the next, I hope that my fellow lawyers will continue the program. They don't have to use my format, but I hope they will continue to enlighten the general public on matters of the law. It is needed in the society. And just excuse me, please. And for those few viewers who have not heard the story of the origins of the Law and You, I will repeat the humble beginnings of the program and tell you what led to the Law and You coming on the air. In a sense, the Law and You has been a dream of mine from the year 1969, when, together with a few like-minded progressives, we formed the Educational Forum of the People. And incidentally, that forum was launched in April 1969. But there was one definitive magazine we published in September of 1970, in which we crystallized our views. And in that magazine, I penned an article suggesting that law as a subject should be taught in schools. Because, as I said in the article, the law follows us from the cradle to the grave. I said a birth certificate and a death certificate are important legal documents. And I felt at the time very strongly that if people were given an understanding of the legal system and how it operates, they would be inclined to be better citizens for that enlightenment. Did I say 1970? September 1972 was when that definitive law and magazine came out, the Forum, September 1972. But we had formally launched in 69. There used to be a radio program by the name of The Law and You in the 60s, hosted by our leading lawyer, Mr. Edward Alexander Clavier Hughes. I remember hearing it on WIBS, Windward Islands Broadcasting Service. That's before the era of 705. So I harbored these notions that, look, and one of the things that we preached as a forum is that enlightenment depends on knowledge. You educate the people as to certain rights, and they would then be in a position to claim those rights. I didn't dream that I would become Attorney General, but in 1987 I became the Attorney General of this country. And not too long after I became Attorney General, I started the practice of coming on television after every sitting of Parliament and explaining in simple language the various laws which we had passed in Parliament. And it occurred to me from the feedback that people appreciated that, because before then, in those days, Parliament was not carried live on radio and television as nowadays. It's only the budget sessions that were carried live on radio, not even on television until fairly late in the game. So that when I got the feedback and found that people appreciated hearing an explanation of this or that law, I said, I'm on to something here. So I continued the practice of coming on the television, and it was also on radio, and explaining to people, look, in Parliament we passed this and that bill, and I would go through the bills and explain what they meant. Now, I left office as Attorney General in 1995. But I still had the stirrings of the need for public legal education. So 95 was, towards the end of 95, I left office in September. 96 passed, and I started making some plans. And in 97, April, I took the bold step of arranging with the television station, this one, SVG-TV, to broadcast a weekly half-hour program called The Law and You, April 1997. For the first few years, I paid for the broadcasts. Not a lot of money, but I think it probably around $200 a program. I did the production myself, thanks in part to my staff because I trained my staff in videography. I bought a television camera, bought the necessary equipment, a tripod, lights, microphone, and we did the production mainly from my office. And after a while, the financial strain became a little too much because as little as $200 was, $200 every week mounts up. And when I calculated that I had spent around $65,000 producing the program, I never got paid for the law and you, never sought any payment. It was a free service. I discussed the matter with the television station and told them, look, I have to give up the program. It's becoming too much of a burden. I can't continue with it. And Mr. Paul McLeish, God bless him, he said, Pierre, look, let me discuss this with my board. And he discussed it with his board of directors. And then pretty soon he called me and said, look, we've decided to carry the program for you free of charge. And that was music to my ears. Thank you, Paul McLeish. Thank you to the directors of St. Vincent Broadcasting Corporation. And so it was that the station took over the responsibility of producing the program and not charging me for it. All I had to do was to come to the studio at Dorsetshire Hill every Monday and do my recording. The station did the rest. The videographers did the taping and they would show it in the night. Now, The Law and You is not an edited program. I do not read from a script. If I have anything to read, I will tell you what I'm reading and I will read it. But otherwise, I just ad-lib. I speak from my heart. So that I would come, speak for about 27, 28 minutes. I will get a time signal and I would close off. And that's it. There will be no playing back the program to correct this or to splice in this and so on. It was an unedited program up to now. And I want in this final 2 minutes to express my heartfelt thanks to all those who have assisted me with The Law and You. First of all, thanks to the station, Mr. McLeish, his wonderful staff, his board of directors, all the technicians that I've worked with for these 23 years, and there have been very many of them. I want to thank you all very, very much for sustaining what has become a public service. I want to thank my legal colleagues who have given me ideas as to things I should speak about. I want to thank my staff, who are the ones who, as I said before, did the actual taping and so on, and every now and then they give me ideas, little critique and so forth. And I want to thank my family for the encouragement and support, and all the hundreds of listeners and viewers to the program. There was a time when, in addition to broadcasting on the TV, I used to broadcast the program simultaneously on the radio. The radio will take the tape from the television station and broadcast it on a Tuesday morning. But there came a time when there was a change of government, and the new government imposed a charge of $40 per program for the services of the radio station, which on principle, they didn't discuss anything with me. They simply said, I simply got a call from the radio station saying that If you want to continue with the law and you want 705, you have to pay $40 a program. Nobody discussed it with me. And on principle, I said, look, in that case, thank you very much, but forget it. So I have not been on the radio with the program. But there's likely to be a new technical development soon. I wouldn't speak about it now, but hopefully very soon I would be able to give you good news as to a changed and improved and increased presentation for the program. In addition to seeing it on SVG-TV, you might be able to see the program on another medium, but that is for later. So let me close by saying thank you to all who have made it possible for me to be on the air for 23 years, except for a few months when I was away with my heart problems, getting my operation and so on. It has been a labor of love. I enjoy coming up to the station every Monday, unless it's a public holiday, and giving you the benefit of my experience and legal advice. Thank you so very much, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and all those who have told me that they appreciate what I have been doing over these years and the help that it has given to people to understand a lot of the not illegal situations in which they found themselves. Above all, people now know that if you have a problem involving a legal matter, you don't sit there and wonder, you go to a lawyer and seek legal advice so that you can have your rights vindicated. I hope the good Lord will give me the health and strength to continue for as long as it pleases the Lord. And I thank Him above all for all that He has done for me to sustain me over these 23 years. Thank you, Lord. All right, so that is all from this program of the Law and You 23 Years and Counting. I look forward to being of further service to you next week, Monday DV, for another presentation in this public service nation building series, The Law and You. Do have a pleasant week, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, and may the good Lord continue to bless us all.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.